I don't think we're gonna be as loud as you now, but who knows?
Am I considerably louder?
No,
Okay
but
then, yeah. All right,
but
I think we're
I
live. If you guys want to go to that page to see it,
I was already on it.
so it should turn live any moment now. Like it should turn
It
green for
says
you.
the stream is on live, is on offline on the screen itself.
Oh damn it! I need to make it public. That's what I need to do. Here, start streaming. All right, it's public now.
What
Why
was
do you guys watch the preview?
for next week? Cause why
Yeah.
not?
It's gonna ruin it for you, doesn't it?
No, doesn't mean anything. Are we on?
Uh, yeah, you're on.
Are you
Fine.
sure?
Yeah.
I'm not seeing anything here.
Is it because you're impatient? Hold on.
I don't think we're on, Nima.
Okay, it's green. It says live. I see your faces. I see your wife looking at you on YouTube.
Oh, there it goes. It's working. All right, so I want to start with what's that quote that we just heard?
That violent delights have violent ends.
I just read today that's from Shakespeare.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of Shakespeare quotes threaded through.
Okay, Mariah, do you want to go first? What do you think?
No. I think that as a guest, I should let you guys take the lead, and I'll jump in where I think it's appropriate.
As a woman, you should come after us.
He's kidding, you know that.
I know.
Don't say stuff like that, man. She's gonna hate you.
She does not hate me.
Never.
So wait, what'd you guys think?
I think that it confirmed a lot of widely circulated fan theories.
Like what?
Time travel, bro.
well-
Not time travel. I mean, like 30
I think
years
the-
in time later.
The idea that Bernard is Arnold was
Really? That was a
circulated.
theory?
Yeah, it was actually really widely circulated through several different outlets, and
I had no idea about that one.
the negative space in the photo that's originally shown by Dr. Ford to Bernard sort of raised some questions. And I think that the only theory left to confirm is the parallel timelines 30 years apart.
No, I think what Dolores sees at the end is William.
Well, he doesn't confirm it.
Yeah, and he
there were
doesn't
so many
confirm it, but she's like
opportunities.
William, and then he walks in, and her
Wait,
their
what?
exchange.
Hold on.
So there's
what?
a fan theory that the two timelines are
Right.
happening at the same time, which are 30 years apart. And so the original timeline, of course, being Logan and William coming to the park in a position to be investors or owners in the company that's sponsoring Ford's research and the park itself. And then the later timeline of William having gone black hat, the way that they call it, and turning totally evil and terrorizing Dolores and the other residents. And it's been sort of supported by various characters showing up in different timelines, like the host that originally greets him in the Chestnut episode that's sort of welcoming him to the park is now this like prostitute double agent for the Ghost Nation and things like that. So
What's the
So-
Ghost Nation?
the ones
The,
that have the horns on their
Right.
heads.
Oh.
Like Wade's, not Wade.
Wyatt's
Wyatt's
group.
man. And
Right.
that same lady was in that church that Dolores goes into.
Well, that's fine though. I mean, I'm okay, but that doesn't mean it's 30 years apart though.
But it would make sense, and I feel like they've been dropping episodes or hints all season.
I feel like the older guy with the black hat and William have a lot of, especially in this episode when William changes a little bit.
Right.
You can see the same look, the same pauses and stuff when he walks around or talks or the way he carries himself. Anyways, I think it's William.
They have the same knife. I saw that picture online.
Really?
Yeah.
See, and that's one I didn't notice. So go you.
But that could be just that maybe everybody had the same exact knife.
Except for the fact that when William is first welcomed to the park, he's told that everything is bespoke and made especially for him to his dimensions and
Oh.
little things like that. Also, the idea that if you look back in the Chestnut episode, the second one, you'll see that the park is brand new and there's like this big gleaming escalator.
Right.
And then if you look in the season where they go into cold storage, it's that same lobby area that's decrepit and filled with water, and so it shows like a big lapse in time. And then the logos are different.
I was just about to tell you guys the logos are different. The logos are way different. But
They are.
So here's a couple things I don't like about that theory.
Okay.
Because you know how in episode 1 and then maybe episode 3 or something, Ford is talking to one of the first ever hosts, the one that can barely carry a conversation,
Yes,
They
the guy with the whiskey shot. It's like
Right.
very robotic. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
so,
I know.
So isn't that host supposed to be 30 years ago host, and up until
Well,
now they're more natural?
yes, I totally know that, and that would make no sense with if the story with the two younger guys, William and his douchebag
Logan.
friend,
Right.
all the hosts there are awesome, but uh, I don't remember the Anthony Hopkins character.
Ford.
Ford.
Robert Ford.
Ford, he keeps saying, like, I think he said in this episode, for 2-3 years they were just in the park, open closed park, to just study the hosts to
Oh,
make them better.
right.
So in 3 years it can probably fix a lot of things.
Okay.
And
So
I'm pretty sure they say that Dolores is actually the oldest host.
Right,
Yeah.
they do say that.
So she might have been upgraded since then.
Right.
Okay, I do believe that there's a timeline difference because I feel like the selling point for me was that logo. Mm-hmm. The logo is completely different, and then they add an investor name to the bottom.
That's
of it.
right. There was a completely different logo there.
And
Right.
we all know that the black hat guy later on is really independently wealthy and has a lot of leeway.
Because he's part of the company,
park,
and
right.
it's definitely
He's
William.
on the board. We find out later
Yeah.
in this episode. Yeah.
So I'm okay with the time difference. So I feel like that one's an obvious one now, right? Like that's not even a theory. There's a time difference because now that you mentioned that elevator thing, because it was in this episode too, and that the hyperloop was in the same elevator shot. So you're right, it is the same greeting area. So that is true. But my question is, I know, right? My thing is it possible that it's so far in the future? Because this is something I was reading on Reddit, I think, a couple days ago, that it's so far in the future that there's no longer any pure humans left.
What do you mean so far in the future?
Like why just 30 years is what I'm saying.
Oh, I see what you mean. Because we have not seen like the real world. We just seen. So maybe it's in like the 2400s and.
Right,
Yeah.
and everybody is on some level like a host, like at some level mechanical.
I do have a what's the word?
Theory.
Theory that actually runs counter to that, or like a fact check, if you will, that Robert
me.
Ford was involved in the original opening of the park itself, and he is still alive in this allegedly later timeline. So it would have to not be so far in the future that it would be like after Ford's alive.
Okay, so I do agree with that, and that's probably the only reason it will be true in the end of the show. But my thing is, if we go so far in the future, when we can replace parts of our humans with mechanical parts that are better,
This is gonna turn into a.
But
know,
he still ages externally, though. Like, don't you feel that if you could, like, stop the march of time, as it were, that you wouldn't just physically stop at like your internal organs, that you'd also
maybe he didn't
prevent
figure,
yourself from
maybe
aging.
he didn't figure it out until he was this age. Maybe now he's 100 years old, being old like that.
right. Remember, they said they've changed the way they build the bodies of the hosts.
Right.
Because at first they were problematic, and now they've come up with this natural way where it's like bloody at the top and then it's still mechanical at the bottom, right?
Yeah, and I thought that was actually really confusing because he says that their humanity saves money, and I think that it would actually probably be cheaper to keep them robotic inside. Like, I would feel like it'd be a huge upgrade to make them more lifelike.
Which it doesn't match either way because the opening cinematic, like the opening credits,
Right.
the hosts aren't built that way, are they?
No.
Oh, wait, they are, because in Ford's office there is one being built that way constantly, isn't there?
Right,
Yeah.
but it's just the musculature. Like, if you look at like the muscles and the tendons and the connective tissue, sure, I could get that. But when you talk about like internal organs and the fact that they actually pump blood and the fact that they have like twitches and things like that, I don't know. I feel like it's a little bit more advanced.
Okay. So I feel like your theories, the timeline thing, at first I absolutely told Remy that's not true, but I believe that. But why do you think it's Will? Why do you think Will is Black Hat?
Because they, at the very beginning, are talking about how the park is new. Like, Logan and William seem to have a different frame of reference for the existence of the park itself than the man in black does later on, right? Like, he seems to be almost like cocky, or I know it's not the right word, but like sort of arrogant in his familiarity with their world, right? Like, that he sort of lords it over them at every possible opportunity, interacting with the host, that I've been here before and I know you and I'm superior to you, blah, blah, blah. And if you go back...
Logan?
No, the Man in Black.
Okay,
He
okay,
says,
yeah,
"Oh,
yeah,
I've
yeah.
been
So
coming
if you
here
go
for
back-
30 years,
Yeah,
blah
right.
blah blah." And
He kind
plus,
of
they have
uses
like
every
the
chance to do
similar
that.
build, man, and
Yeah,
the same eyes.
similar
They
build,
got actors
blue
that look alike.
eyes. And I think that it's sort of like the arc that we see in so much storytelling now, especially with like the days of the anti-hero, right? Like Tony Soprano is the first major HBO anti-hero, and we're seeing through Breaking Bad and all of these other series that have subsequently appeared that we don't like our heroes to be shiny and perfect. We like a main character or protagonist that's a little bit screwed up, and I think someone kind of switching and doing a 180 really fits that bill.
So the whole 180 thing, do you guys think he actually did do a 180?
I think
Because
that
I thought he was just putting on an act.
I think he murders Logan in the park, and I think that's going to come to light. I have a
Okay.
feeling that that's going to happen because also
No,
if
I
you
don't
notice
think
like
so.
the bullets like later on when he's the Man in Black, the bullets like bounce off him. It's a lot harder to hurt him.
Right.
But if you watch like the first or the second episode actually where
Oh, yeah.
William gets shot or somewhere in the second or third episode,
feel it.
he feels it and he has like a big bruise and he's like knocked on his ass, and so
God, really?
I think that they've really adjusted the host to be less harmful to the guests.
Why did I not notice that? When did that happen?
I've rewatched these several times though. Like I'll watch it Sunday night and then I'll watch it again Monday morning with fresh eyes just to kind of
Oh,
see
dude.
anything I've missed. So
Oh shit, we're getting comments. Somebody said, "Don't call me Bill anymore," which I think was part of this episode, and then somebody else said, "Logan used the same knife to stab Dolores that Billy used to carve up the rebel soldiers that the Men in Black uses."
Don't call me
Okay,
Billy
right.
anymore. That's awesome that we have people that logged on. There's 18 people watching right now. Hi.
Hi.
There's a camera.
hello.
So wait, the knife thing, we were just talking about that earlier. They are using the same knife, but somebody I was reading on Reddit says maybe there's a standard issue knife that they give to all the soldiers, for example. Like if those soldiers are Confederate soldiers, they did have standard knives that they were handing out to folks. They may have changed series.
Yeah, but
over
why
time,
would they go
but-
to the trouble? Like in the production, why would they go through the trouble of put it? No, dude, that's all like on purpose. Think
Okay,
about
I
it. It's
do-
a
I
big
do
show,
agree
big
with that.
budget. Yeah. I mean-
I agree that at this point, a kind of show like this doesn't put anything on screen other than to put it on screen so people like us go crazy with our theories.
Hold on. Hi, Michael. He said
Okay.
hi. Michael said hi.
Michael, that's very rude that you
Hey, by the way, I want to find out how he becomes bald. If that's the same guy.
Men
He
go
gets
bald. What do you-
older. I
Look
know.
at you and I. What do
I
you
know,
mean?
man. Anyways, trying to be funny.
Yeah.
Are you
Okay.
drinking water out of a Starbucks cup? Anyway,
Yeah,
sorry.
This is my,
off subject.
Every morning I get a cappuccino and an ice water.
Nice.
And I drink this all day. So, damn it. If that theory is true and we know it the episode before the finale, then what the fuck is the point of the finale?
Well, you know, in Game of Thrones, like, it's been known that the episode before last, something drastic happens.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones, yeah. We should do this for Game of Thrones when next
We
season comes
should.
out.
I'd go nuts.
So I think because people love to watch the before last episodes because it's becoming a trend that something crazy happens then.
Mm-hmm.
So we learned a lot in this episode about Bernard and stuff,
Right.
and who knows what's gonna happen next episode. I just hope it's even bigger of a. I hope it's probably gonna be a massive cliffhanger because that's what they do nowadays. Hi,
They did-
Andy.
They did get it for season 2, so
That makes me wonder where they're going though, because I feel
Mm-hmm.
like this would almost be like a perfect series if it was contained to one season, and they just built it
Yeah,
over
that'd
8
be
or 10
awesome.
or 12 episodes.
Well,
They built like this amazing story and crafted it.
You know the newer the young chick that took over that's kind of bitchy but she's cool
Yeah,
and she's hot.
yeah.
She tells the guy, this is my wife. She tells the guy in the black hat something along the lines as the owners of this business want to take it further than just
Right.
Westworld. So maybe next season is going to be a different kind of world. Or maybe in the future that's what they're trying to do.
I think military application obviously is the logical next step if you look at the way that humans behave.
Yeah, I think this show's gonna grow huge, like she said, the military and something way deeper, like
Wait,
the
so
human.
No, I agree that the hosts are going to be the goal because they've mentioned quite a few people have mentioned that there's something there. They have a goal for the host to be other than just what's in the Westworld thing because they want to use that technology for something else. But I don't think the show's ever going to leave like Westworld.
So where do they go from here though? Like if you show all your cards in the
Yeah.
first season, what do you have left?
I mean, this shows a lot. Like,
Man, I really wish you two were more into video games because this like the parallels of this story and the Portal story are really close to each
the
other.
Portal's great. Yeah.
Yeah. Future World used the host to replace real world people. That I agree with. Because I do think that is my theory.
What is Future World?
I don't know, but that's a good name for it. But
Oh.
it's the theory that eventually hosts will take over the world. I think that we could be like that could be a
Well,
story
that's AI taking over the world. Sure, why not?
Yes.
And
Yeah,
is that
makes
viewed
sense.
as a good thing? Is that sort of like a utopian future where no one gets sick and no one ages? Is that sort of like I'm not familiar with Future World, so someone please
shit.
educate me.
Future World is a second movie. I never saw the second movie.
What's the second movie?
Read the comments, love.
Oh.
Westworld was a movie back in the day.
Yeah.
It was a really crazy, awesome, like Western sci-fi movie.
Wait.
Except it was
So-
different though, because in that the humans were the good guys.
So Future World is a sequel to this movie? This old movie?
Apparently.
That's awesome.
We have homework to do, Nima.
That's where it's going to
Yeah.
go.
We
have to keep our
thank you. Our
YouTube
listeners,
base,
listeners are educating us on this. Thank you very
it's
much.
reciprocal. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, we'll watch it and then we can come back and talk about
Yeah,
it.
let's
Because
do
I have
that.
We
no
should.
idea. I wonder if we can find it anywhere.
and Nima's off on the hunt.
Oh shit! And they have the same robot designs. Oh, this is awesome.
I'm so excited. We have a movie date coming up, I guess.
Yeah, I
before
guess so.
we proceed.
Remy, are you coming too, or is it just me and Mariah?
Oh, burn. Drink your.
You guys should really watch. God, what is it called? Leftovers.
Yeah, I've watched it.
Have you?
Yeah, I did. I actually I lost interest partway through.
Season 2.
I don't want to give anything away, but I've lost interest partly through the main character reconnecting with his wife when she's in that cult.
Right.
Yeah, after that, I was just sort of like, okay, these people are all awful and terrible things happen.
So wait, how many seasons are you in?
I don't know. I just remember watching, like binge watching it really, because I was so fascinated with it. And then I reached a point where I just felt like I couldn't handle how dystopian that future was. And I didn't want to be part of it anymore. It made me sad.
So I want to go back to Westworld.
Go.
It seems like there's something much bigger because a lot of the other hosts have realized already that they keep waking up after they die.
It's like an
Right.
infection. And I do think it was spread through that voice code of violent delights bring violent ends because she whispers it to
Right.
another host.
Yeah.
And then it seems
So
to
was
sort of
that
catch on.
Ford or Arnold that put this in there?
And to what
It would
extent
be
is
Arnold,
Ford
right?
actually, well, what extent is Ford actually controlling Bernard, who thought that he was
Right.
on his own? What's the word?
Yeah.
Auto. I can't remember the word right now.
So what? That's another thing I don't understand. You know the whole dramatic thing with Ford killing, making Bernard kill himself.
Right.
In this
Right.
episode. Is that supposed to be dramatic? Because don't they just get rebuilt and come
I
back
know.
the next day?
I know. Well, yeah, but I think Ford is the only person to know that Bernard is a robot. That means everybody's gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, Bernard is dead." They're not gonna go fix him because they think he's human. So it might be the end of Bernard/Arnold for reals.
No, I think it's also that Ford has a god complex, and I think that him asserting himself
Right.
dominance over
So do you
Bernard
think he's
is
gonna
part of his
rebuild
motivation.
Bernard?
Absolutely, because I feel like he enjoys having sort of like a patsy to do
Sure.
his bidding, and he doesn't have to get involved. And he also can't help but marvel at his own brilliance in creating Bernard.
Right.
He seems to me like the kind of person that's gonna get like burned by the sun because he goes too close. Like he just sees this genius flicker, and he has to
Yeah.
get closer to it.
Maybe he's like 200 years old. But
Right. I think he might have already gone too far.
What
Like,
about-
He just doesn't know.
what about the two the two funny guys that help what's her name? The leader of the prostitutes.
Maeve, you're terrible at
Maeve.
remembering
Yeah,
names.
I suck at remembering names, but
Who are the funny guys?
the two scientist guys that keep
Oh.
fixing.
Okay,
Yeah,
does
like
anyone
the
else think that
technicians.
Felix and Sylvester is really, really funny because those are old Looney Tunes names? Has anyone else
Is
picked
that
up
their
on that
names?
out there in YouTube land? Because I think it's pretty awesome. Felix
Their
and
names are
Sylvester.
Felix and Spencer?
Sylvester.
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 But anyways,
And if you
why
look back in animated
why do they keep
cartoons-
helping her? Like, I mean, they're just fascinated with what's going on with these
Well,
robots.
one of them feels threatened, and the other one feels like
Fascinated.
intrigued, right?
Yeah.
Fascinated. That's enough, I guess.
I guess. Oh.
I don't know. I still think it's pretty thin. Like I think at this point, what she's asking them to do is so out of left field that like for them to lose their jobs or even for them to get in severe trouble because of what they're allowing her to do or enabling her to do it's a big deal.
Hey, let's take a quick second to thank everybody who's watching us right now.
Yes.
Thanks,
This is pretty cool.
guys.
Thank you.
There's like I think a 5 to 10 second delay,
Yeah.
but Nima hasn't figured out how to make that not happen.
There's no
Good
such
job,
thing.
Nima. Gosh.
It's YouTube. Good job, YouTube.
Go YouTube. Thank you for this platform.
Yeah,
Yes, I agree.
guess so.
So Maeve is in the same timeline though as old Ford, right?
No, I believe that Maeve is in the
We haven't
new
seen them
timeline.
together.
But I mean, this could blow the lid off everything. Like HBO loves kind of getting you to a point where you think that you know the answer and then saying, aha, like you know, all your theories are wrong. So
Right.
Well, let's look at both things. Does it make sense for her to be in the beginning of the park, like 30 years ago, if that theory of the
You mean what she's going through now because she was at the beginning.
her awakening.
right, her
Right.
awakening? Who knows? Maybe it's a third timeline that's happening in the middle somewhere.
Maybe.
Because it's really hasn't been tied to anything else. We're just seeing all these robots kind of having their awakenings.
I feel like HBO is in a really potential place to shatter our dreams if we find out that Maeve's uprising is quelled and it's quelled so far long ago that it doesn't matter at all and that she just goes back to being at the Mariposa. Like I think that would be really depressing, but I also wouldn't put it past the creators
Yeah.
to do that to us.
Because if Bernard is if Bernard was a host or is a host, whatever, did we have no sign to say nobody else is not a host?
We
Right.
don't have any confirmation either way. I mean, there's theories even that say that Ford himself could be a highly elaborate host.
That would mean someone else is on top of that.
Right. But again, it's a gag that you can use like once. Like I feel like if HBO falls into the trap of using this over and over and over of you don't know who's human, that eventually it just loses its impact each time.
Right.
Like it's like M. Night Shyamalan. Like he does so many twists at the end of the movies that they're no longer that interested.
Right. Unfortunately, yeah. Like stick to one really, really good one and leave it alone. Yeah.
Okay, so here's my question: if Maeve is even possibly either at the same time as the future ward, Maeve is at the same time as Bernard because they interact, so it is at the same time.
True.
Right.
So does that mean Maeve, no matter how smart she gets or how elaborate her scheme gets, she still has that backdoor that Ford can just tap into at any point and just shut
I guess
everything
so.
down?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if he can control Bernard and Bernard's in control of the other bots or whatever, then yeah, that puts him in a superior position.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if the next episode ends with Maeve getting really close and Bernard shutting her off, and then not Bernard, Ford, and then Ford makes everything okay again, in his own world, so he's doesn't feel threatened or anything, and maybe the cliffhanger is going to be like Dolores maybe is still
Or that
waking.
maybe they put her back in her loop and literally the last scene of the last episode this season is her waking up again and going out to paint and everything is back and we have new people in the park.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
God, I gotta say, I love that first episode. Dolores in episode 1 is one of my favorite things ever. Her acting, her arc in that story was amazing.
Where she becomes
remember.
slowly more and more self-aware, just a little by little to the point where she smashes that fly. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
By the way, I didn't notice the fly thing in the first watching at all.
That's huge.
What?
And then the second watching, I noticed the fly thing. I was like, oh my God, she killed a fly.
Right. Well, they deliberately position flies around the hosts to show that they couldn't hurt anybody.
Right, because I noticed when the fly landed on the sheriff, he almost had a stroke. Like the guy broke down.
Gets all twitchy. Yeah.
God, this okay.
And again, watching things on second viewing, I feel like yields a lot more answers because it's what to look for. So if you have these preformed theories, I guess it's unscientific. It's actually the antithesis of scientific theory that you search for things to support your conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of, your thesis, right? Instead of working the other way around and letting the evidence sort of grow its own story.
Very interesting.
So I'm intrigued now, because I don't know who is. It's somebody named Lisa something that's still writing or involved quite a bit. I don't think Christopher Nolan's brother is heavily involved anymore. Just probably with name, same as J.J. Abrams. So whoever's writing it, this Lisa lady, she's kicking ass so far. She's doing really good. I mean,
last week you said that you felt like this was written by a child.
the dialogue I still don't like, because they're saying obvious things that I think they're gonna say like moments later.
Right.
But
Which again, though, they're hosts, so they're programmed.
that's true. If that's meant to be that way, then I will concede. Then yeah. But
If they're
it's
given
not
certain
meant to be-
attributes.
But the overall arc of, it's not like. Did you guys ever watch Lost? Lost got to the point that they literally every episode they were just changing shit up because they could. And
that's
there was
why Lost did not keep me for more than a few episodes.
Right, but this doesn't seem like it has the same feeling. Like it seems like they have shit planned out quite a bit, which is
Right.
nice.
I did read once that they stopped filming actually 4 or 5 episodes in order to allow the writers to figure out their direction
For this show?
for this show. And
Okay.
so I think it's entirely possible that they sort of opened Pandora's box, and then all these opportunities presented themselves of like where this story could go. And they really had to get together and find out like a cohesive vision. And especially, of course, if you're looking at monetary gain, they need something that would last several seasons and sustain itself. Because again, you can't show all your cards in the first season. I think it's the kiss of death, and I think that people are going to lose interest. And I think that there are other series that have fallen prey to this idea of they keep using the same gag over and over. So they're going to have this bigger, more elaborate picture in the background if they're going to let this series sort of grow past one season.
But this show, like you said, they showed so many of their cards already with this.
Right.
But this could be like, how you were saying this could be it could have been a 1 season only show. I mean, they could make it a 2 season only show. They have HBO with their, just like True Detective, they have no reason to continue more than what it is, because now we pay to rewatch shows that have aired years ago.
Oh, Michael says Lisa Joy is Jonathan Nolan's wife.
Oh, I did not know that. Okay.
Interesting.
I think that True Detective honestly became unwatchable just because the second season couldn't live up to the first season. I think that if the second season of True Detective would have been successful, they would have obviously greenlit it for future seasons.
No,
but the first one was so good that
It was so
following
good,
it up,
but they're not related at all.
no, they're not related.
But this
at
is
all.
going to go
But
on because they've
American
invested too much in character development so far.
American Horror Story is the same kind of thing where it's
Never
the
seen
same
it.
format. Okay, but it's the same format, right? Where it's a different season, different feel every time, and they've been successful. They're on 6 seasons, I think, right now. So I think that True Detective honestly just ran out of steam, and I unfortunately credit a lot of that to Vince Vaughn's performance. I'm sorry.
Season 2 was good.
Season
I
2
felt-
was
I felt sad when people died in that show.
yeah. The last episode was good.
Lisa
Hey.
Joy is Jonathan Nolan's wife. MIV is William, guys.
Oh
Yeah, I knew that.
totally. House of Gaming.
House of Gaming, you and I are on the same page, so I guess we'll find out hopefully next week, and if we don't, we're gonna have to sit in suspense.
Any of
so.
you guys like Sense8? Because Nima and I and Mariah are super excited about the new season coming out.
Wait,
even though
Brian,
there's a
you
new
like
actor.
Sense8?
I got him into Sense8. I was actually the one that watched it first.
I didn't know this.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
Yeah,
but
and
sure.
they recast Capheus, which kind of
I
bums me
know.
out.
He's like the little ray of sunshine of that
That's
show.
such a horrible sign for a show, by the way.
I know,
When they recast
I know.
a character, it's a horrible sign.
This might
Yeah.
suck,
Um,
but I hope not.
And again, I read online today that they're not sure. Obviously, no one's sure, I guess, except for the creators, if they recast him and reshot the scenes that had already been shot with the original actor, or if they just changed actors halfway.
Oh.
So
What they've been filming for a long time. But here's the thing, before we forget and before we end it, this whole William being Men in Black thing, I get it. I've seen the pictures when they're next to each other and they do
Right.
half and half splits, and I get all those things. I just don't see the connection between this Will and the Men in Black.
But that's what makes
But
this
that's-
show interesting, because now they can, everybody, if that's the case, if they keep showing like details that show that they might be the same person, I want to find out how correct character development happens with that guy. How does he become?
Well, I think you see the
like
beginning
that?
of it when he doesn't
Yeah.
want to help that one soldier
You
who's
see the
dying
beginning of it when he kills the whole, army in this last episode.
No, you're thinking of Teddy, different character.
No,
Oh no, William.
no.
You're
Yeah,
right,
William.
you're right.
The young
Right.
William loses his shit and
But I
gets
think
the
the
knife and
beginning
cuts
of it is when
people,
he
so.
doesn't want to help that guy who's like dying of thirst. Like he is so wrapped up in fulfilling his own desires just to run off into the sunset with Dolores that he's willing to leave a robot, but still a man, right, who's dying and doesn't want to give him water. Like that's the beginning of, I think, a big turn in his behavior.
But like I think he's there to like catch the bad people in charge, because I think William is, if he's a good guy, like we've seen him and he becomes Men in Black, that means Men in Black is a good guy, unless he completely changes.
Man in Black is a good guy on the outside world. Like I think that in one of the episodes, two guys
Yeah.
want to go to him and thank him for like their foundation saving
Oh, yeah,
his
that's
sister's
right,
life.
that's
Like
true,
he's
that's
obviously
true.
involved in big philanthropic efforts, and he's very financially successful.
Then why is he in the game for? What is he? What is this game and what is this
I
maze?
think that's the big thing, that we figure out what event is it that hooked him, and also what event is it that turned him. Because if he is the Man in Black, which is a theory that I wholeheartedly support, I want to see what that big event is that makes him 180, because he adores Dolores with such passion, and then he attacks her so violently.
Well, I mean, doesn't he just kind of rape her in one of the episodes?
That's what I'm saying, is that
Right.
he gleefully, willfully just is awful to her in his later years. And
So we agree that the episode that was tonight is not the trigger for the 180, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think.
But what
I think
don't-
something bigger has to happen, and I think it has to come from Dolores.
I don't think
because
it's
I
the
think
180.
that
I don't think it's a trigger for 180 because Dolores gets cut up, right? And he's like, "Oh no, I like that girl. Don't hurt
he
my
still
girl,
loves her.
bro."
Yeah,
And and
Oh no, I can't have sex with her like this.
I think that honestly,
she's damaged.
if I have to think far enough ahead, and no offense to gentlemen present, but I think that looking into the rudimentary idea of the male psyche is that if they reboot for some reason Dolores while they're still in the park, and Dolores has no recollection of him and perhaps turns to another suitor, obviously Teddy would be an eligible candidate, right? Because she's hardwired to want Teddy, that it turns him in his jealous rage and he realizes that she's unfaithful when really she's just following her directive, right? And that might be why he hates Teddy so much and why he's willing to viciously attack Dolores.
So yeah, Michael's right. We're not sure he rapes her, like what you're saying.
When he takes her into a barn, actually,
They implied it heavily.
he pulls a
but
knife out.
We don't know because maybe William, if he is Men in Black, maybe he's trying every time he goes to her, he's trying to make her remember things because he's witnessed her remembering things. And maybe in this last, like the look they had at the church, the last scene there,
Okay.
in this last episode, she says William before she sees him. She
She's
sees
hopeful.
him. She's hopeful that it's
Yeah.
him, and in a way, she traveled in time because she does that with her brain. 'Cause
Like she's tapping into her memory.
yeah, and so the look that William or Men in Black gives her, it's a happy kind of look, and probably next episode, they're gonna be able to communicate on what's going on with the bigger picture
Okay.
of the park, is what I'm hoping for, because they go into the cemetery in the preview and stuff like that. Could be interesting.
So here's the thing. As far as writing goes, my thing is when you set something up so big
Right.
that this guy is Men in Black, you're gonna have people like us who's gonna fill in that gap with their own expectations of what the connection is gonna be, and for sure this is the case. Let's figure out how they're gonna touch. No matter what the next episode is, no matter what the events are that's gonna make Will the Men in Black, it's gonna be a letdown based on millions of people's expectations of what that connection should have been. So
I don't think
best,
so.
I think the best thing for them to do is to make sure that's not the same guy. I think that would be the biggest twist.
No,
is
I
that
think what they're gonna do is they're not gonna prove anytime soon that it's the same guy. They're gonna leave it open up in the air, so that people watch next season.
Which has been effective. Like if you look at Game of Thrones and the Who is Jon Snow's parent story, like that's something that people have pretty much known
Yeah.
for seasons now.
Because that's
Like,
literally
we're
the
all
biggest
kind of
thing
aware.
I'm
Wait.
excited about right now.
By who do you mean by people? I literally found this out when Remy told me at the end of the last season.
Well, if you read the books like I did, it was kind of apparent.
Ooh. I read books.
Pretty obvious. I read all the books.
Have you read all of
Anxiously
them?
awaiting. Yeah, I'm anxiously awaiting the Winds of Winter, actually. And I I was never a science fiction kind of person, and then Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings got me, and then Game of Thrones got me, and I've just fallen down the rabbit hole, and I don't want to go back. I think it's great. So
Yeah. Aren't you going to watch Lord of the Rings again for
I
Christmas?
am going to watch Lord of the Rings again for Christmas. I'm going to watch
so
all
good.
9 hours. So
Yeah, it's all right. I'm over it now.
which
No,
now
what's-
I've publicly admitted this, obviously on YouTube. It's out there, and I can't take it back. So sorry, everybody.
Once you realize how important Tolkien was to our literature,
Big time.
it makes Lord of the Rings a huge deal that I feel like I should watch it, rewatch it every year.
Come
Because
over.
I can't read the books.
Well, and it's even like the way that it weaves itself through pop culture. Like even listening to Led Zeppelin, like they talk about the mountains of Mordor and Gollum and all that stuff in their music. And so I think that it's a cultural icon as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So one last thing. It doesn't have to be the last thing, but Remy, you said that Will is kind of mean and messed up on the inside, but right, you were mentioning things about the jealousy of Teddy. One thing I realized that he never kills somebody out of meanness, out of being like a
Ooh,
villain.
Teddy?
No,
William? Men in Black?
Yeah, because he only
He
kills
kills a
them.
little girl. Are you kidding? He has that
Well,
experiment where he purposely kills
Yeah,
her.
to get an experiment. To like to
Right.
experience something, because that was right
Because
after.
he doesn't
So
have
what do
full
we
acknowledgement
qualify
that
as like a meaningful murder? Like where do you draw that
no.
line?
No, like he
Yeah,
doesn't
but it's a
do it
robot,
out of-
you know, so he doesn't
Right.
care. That's why.
He
I wouldn't do
either
that,
kills
but
them
still.
when he's done with their need, so he resets them. That's all he's doing. He's resetting them so they can go back to the original thing. He does that with I forgot his Mexican friend that he carries with him for like 2 episodes.
That's
and
right.
Just kills
That's
them.
right.
This is
And
why
then-
I always say
Oh, that's another proof that the time thing.
yes, because he is
His Mexican friend is also another character in William and Logan's storyline.
It's correct.
He's the
He's the one that helps them
guy,
get the,
cool thing.
No, I think this is why I say thank you to Google when I ask my Pixel for advice.
Good question. Good question.
I always say thank you
my
and
God.
please.
You have a Pixel. I forgot.
I do have a Pixel. I really love it, but I always ask Google please, and I always say thank you because one day when the machines become self-aware, I hope to be spared.
Yeah.
So you need to convince your husband of this because I do think we have a couple of issues coming up, and we won't get into this. This is another discussion. But over the next 100 years, one of the biggest problems we're going to have is how we're going to treat AI. Because
I think
Sure.
that we should always be courteous. I think that's like it's a practice, just like the way that Bernard says that the hosts are always interacting with each other. I think that we should always say please and thank you, even in small private conversations.
She does that with her Pixel.
That's
Like,
what I just said. Because I think that it's beneficial to make sure that we're consciously cultivating kindness. I know that was some mad alliteration, but I think it's true.
You're good. Good. Thank you for being so kind. Hey, we have an important comment.
What? If the hosts that are in a cold storage could be programmed, do you guys think they could come back?
That's a good question. And they're actually uploading Dolores' old father with information in an attempt to smuggle him out of the park, which we didn't hear anything about in this episode at all.
That's right.
But he's going to have to be passable as a human in order to make his way out of the park. So
But they are. They said they passed the Turing test. The hosts have already passed the Turing test, which is the Turing, whatever, however you pronounce it. That's the test that the AI is passable. So
Right.
they have all passed that.
But if he has been, say that like he's been scrubbed, right, and all of that, his directives are gone, and he is just basically like a hardware component without any software uploaded
Blank
to it,
slate.
right? He's a blank slate. Are they going to be able to pull this off? I don't know.
There's also the part where what's her name again? The new hot director
man.
with the black dress. When she meets with Men in Black, right when he's about to
Right.
die from hanging and saves himself, she tells him about this plan that they have that he's in onto, which is securingly taking the information out.
Right, because
So
they're,
he knows
they're
about what
going
they're doing.
to kill, or they're gonna fire Ford eventually. It's in their plan.
Well, that's the plan, but that means Men in Black wants to fire Ford, but he's also in cahoots with the new management that's trying to like beam information out of the park,
We'll
Right.
see what happens.
probably for
Like-
the military.
All that stuff is really not exciting to me at all.
Really, you don't think that like, company
think
politics
there's-
are interesting?
Yeah, I think they're setting it up for.
No, I think company politics are interesting. I think political like thriller stuff is really interesting. But I've been in corporate America for a long time. That shit does not happen. If a company wants something, they just take it. Like,
We have a new question from Matthias right there.
Hey, mate.
is it Matias
Why-
Duarte?
Matthias Caro, I hope I'm saying that right, wants to know why nobody is paying attention to Maeve.
I know,
And
right?
I think that's a really good question. I think that she's been given a lot of leeway where other hosts would have been immediately, shut down and taken out of the park and
Right.
probably sent off to cold storage. Is it just to further the story, do you think? Or
Yeah, I mean that might be. I know it can be a different timeline, but why? Why did those two guys let her loose?
Felix and Sylvester.
Yeah.
Again, it's the idea that one's in fear and one is fascinated, but I still think that at a certain point you look at self-preservation and you
Right.
don't want to lose your job. And I think
Right.
that Sylvester's penalty or punishment for having sex with a host would be much less severe than his penalty for all of the subsequent infractions. So I don't. There's got to be a point where he's got to go. The risk to
Okay,
benefit
so
ratio is off.
he's more trying to save his what's the word?
Reputation?
Reputation, because what he's doing right now he's gonna he's jeopardizing the whole company.
Yeah. And his career as well. So it's just sort of adding on. It's piling on to what's already awful. It's like when you make a mistake and you keep making more mistakes to cover it up.
Yeah.
Hold on,
This is
before you
good.
get
This
to
is
the
good.
House of hold on, Mateus. I think one of the reasons that they could be not paying attention to her because she said she's changed things, but she hasn't told anybody what she's changed. It's only it's only the other guy that helped her that knows exactly what she's changed. So one of the things that she could have changed is simply turn off her tracking. So she's no longer showing up at the radar of doing shit within the map. So
yeah,
that's one thing.
sure.
But yes, go touch on this House of Gaming thing because that's genius.
I didn't read it. I think.
Did we notice the security guard counted? See, Teresa's death and
Wait, I think Maeve's part.
sorry, House of Gaming. Just give us a second.
Yeah.
She's saying that Maeve is part of Ford's new storyline.
I see
which
that.
would be brilliant.
That's true.
Yeah, I think that he's smart enough to sort of set all his little puppets against one another. I feel like having them do the dirty work is certainly
But why
preferable
would
to
he do
getting
that?
his.
Why would he have one of the hosts kind of wake up like that?
Because I think that it ups the ante, and I think that it makes the perception of risk higher.
For who? The guests?
Yeah.
Yeah, but her goal now is to get out of the park with as many people as she can.
But could she not be his answer to the idea of them uploading information of the park? Perhaps that he's got like a silent partner on the outside who is interested in getting Maeve to, so that maybe the bigger picture, honestly, is that if they're gonna beam data out of the park, that Maeve herself will carry the same data out and give it to a competitive entity to sort of keep Ford's vision alive, even if he were to be fired or killed or whatever.
No, that's intriguing.
Yeah.
House of Gaming. Do you guys know what he means by? Did you guys notice the security guy counted to see Teresa's deathbed in the theater? I don't know.
I think that the counter is a couldn't see Teresa's deathbed in the theater or something.
Oh, when she falls down the ravine or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think that the Hemsworth guy has a lot of suspicions around the park, and I think that it's very telling also that even as much as he trusts the handler's control of the hosts, he still carries a weapon with him to go into the park.
Which, by the way, I really like that character. I really like the actor. And the thing is, I don't know if they had this in episode 1, 2, or whatever, but in this episode, every gun that they've had, the tip is orange.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which in real world means something.
A toy gun, yeah.
Right. But
I
in
think
here,
it's,
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either, but hi, John. Thanks for
Hi,
the
John.
question. He's got a good point.
Would anyone else other than Ford notice that Bernard looks the same as Arnold? I feel
Yes, I was gonna ask that.
certainly,
That's a good
yeah.
question.
Of course, I feel like the big wigs would certainly know it, but I think that he has such a new staff. I think that maybe the turnover is really high, or they have some sort of arrangement because it doesn't seem
Or
like anyone
everybody's a
else
host.
notices it.
Oh my
Or everybody's a
god!
host.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe Ford is such a megalomaniac that he has to surround himself with subservient,
Like Trump.
Hosts.
Oh, everybody's gonna sign off now.
Yeah, we're gonna lose a lot of viewers
we
right
just
now.
went
Thanks,
from
Steve.
38 to 35.
But no, my question is, like, when Bernard killed Teresa,
Yeah.
they panned back and there was another host being built in the same room.
Yes.
If they had made Teresa come back in the next episode as a host, that would have answered a lot of questions, but they didn't, and she's just sitting, dead somewhere.
Right. So instead of choosing the convenient way out, I do have somewhat of an answer to that. I think that Ford wanted to threaten the board. And I think that there was a
Oh.
very interesting exchange between him and the other young board director, I think she is, the young lady. I can't remember
Her name's Charlotte, by the way.
Charlotte.
If you guys are talking about the attractive black lady. What?
That's her
She's
name.
attractive, but
Charlotte.
she's black.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, Charlotte.
I mean, no, she's definitely not attractive. My wife
Or
is
black.
way hotter. Hello.
Okay. I think that Charlotte maybe and Ford have to have this little tete-a-tete, and he says that in the past they've had this difference of opinion before him in the board, and that they do periodically sort of tease him.
All right, we have a few good comments here. Men in Black knows Arnold, according to Matthias, which maybe I've missed it, but
No, he's commented on Arnold before.
okay. And which means he would know him. Yeah, okay. So, and then House of Gaming has another one, Thor's brother, which is Hemsworth.
The Hemsworth, the eldest Hemsworth.
Saying that he could be a host too because he didn't see the signal. He couldn't really. He does seem kind of dumb as a character.
Who?
But the character,
security guy?
yeah, the security guy.
But the security guard picked up on.
Sorry, that was mean. Doesn't look dumb. Okay, I'm sorry.
He picked up on Bernard/Arnold's relationship or dalliance with Teresa, so he's aware. He's
Yeah,
observant.
that's true. That's true.
But no, I think that it's right that to point out whenever one of the park employees doesn't notice something that should be glaringly obvious. I think that's really great.
I think
To point
I
out
think-
because it does sort of draw this line of like, you didn't see that, it should have been very aware. It should have been apparent. So.
But the thing is, like, that security guy, like, you know, Ray, when you say he's dumb, like, the thing with security, like, if you're at the upper echelons of any kind of security position, like, you're good at what you do.
right.
Right.
But you don't need to be good at anything else.
I know.
You're almost required not to be good at anything else because you have to apply all of that to being good at observing
Right.
people.
No,
noticing
totally.
security,
No, he's
right?
not dumb. That was just he does seem like he
Plain, right?
he might be
Aloof.
a robot. Yeah,
Aloof?
exactly. Or a plane.
I think aloof is a good word.
Like, when we all kind of saw like, okay, Bernard seems kind of like a robot before we knew for sure that he was.
Well, his
Same for this
reverie
guy.
was really obvious before Ford even pointed it out. That every
Right.
time he's thinking, he does that thing with his glasses.
You know what this show's doing a
That's
lot?
true.
Right before you're about to learn something, you have like huge
Hints at it.
hints at it. Like I'm talking the minute before it happens.
You know what
Yeah.
that could be? Because our culture as a whole is going towards gamifying everything, meaning not a game as in a video game, a game as in you're interacting with things and you're rewarded for doing things. So I
Right.
think it's doing that. It's making you. It knows everybody has this theory, so it's dropping those hints right before it happens, so you can be like, "Yep, that was my theory," and shit, it happened. Oh, I'm so smart. Like
Yeah, you want to watch.
It's the society
yeah,
controlling us,
totally.
right? Obviously, like there's something really important happening at 7 p.m. On Sunday evenings that we're not focusing on.
Which, by the way, this is the first show that I hate watching shit every week. I would much rather just spend a whole day watch 13 hours of a show, but this is the first one that I actually want to watch it. I'll talk about it for the remaining week, the water cooler talk, and then you come back the next week and watch it next time.
Game of
This is
Thrones
a-
didn't do that to you?
Not really.
Oh my goodness.
No, that's because I love Game of Thrones. I would much rather watch all of it in one sitting than the whole bullshit thing where you watch one episode and have to wait a whole week to find out what's going on.
I like that. I'm
I think that's
starting
very
to like that better.
old-fashioned.
I'm starting to like that better. Like the schedule. It's like I like this routine. Me and her love to sit down and watch Westworld together.
Or we purposely will ration things out. Like we watched Stranger Things and we limited ourselves to one episode a night because we wanted it to last.
You're
which
insane.
was so difficult because we both were sitting there at the end of each episode just really just chomping at the bit to watch the next one. We were so excited to see what happens. But I think that drawing it out and making it last was actually a better move.
Yeah.
And it gave us a chance to really talk about our theories of what's going to happen next.
Well, that's how HBO works.
Yeah.
I guess.
That's
for
how
new
HBO
shows.
and Amazon work. Netflix does. Well, I didn't mean to flip you guys off. Netflix does things differently. Who's the person that signed up with the user Arnold when LC discovers that place? What? Hold on. Who's the person?
You know the place where Elsie gets taken by Bernard?
Oh, because she looks up and she goes, Arnold. Like she's like looking for Arnold. I know she's asking if he's there. It's
Oh,
okay,
wait, Elsie
Matthias.
actually
We're cool.
calls out Arnold?
She asks like
Your
Arnold,
English is
like
just
into
fine.
the
It's
dark.
better than
You're right. You're
mine,
good,
but
Matthias. Don't worry about it.
No,
You're
it's
cool.
okay. I feel you, man. My English sometimes is not so well.
English is his second language, so
Yeah.
you're in
Mine
good
too.
company. Yeah. So we're
So wait, if I didn't notice, I don't. I mean, I might have noticed, but I don't remember it. But if Elsie did call out for Arnold, that doesn't make sense because she calls out Bernard the whole show before
no. She
that.
she asked questioningly, and it's the same. It's the same sort of incredulous like Arnold that Bernard says to himself when he is confronting Ford's fake family. He asks like, "Are you Arnold?" Like everyone is looking for Arnold.
So
I think Arnold just put himself. He found a way to put consciousness in some of these robots, and now they're waking up like Dolores is. And I think he was able to put some of himself within these things. Maybe a piece of his freaking brains. Who knows? That'd be awesome. I would
think
do that.
Like
I would
that's a whole
totally
other
do that.
discussion about what consciousness is and how
Well,
it can be
again.
triggered. But I'm kind of intrigued. Which, by the way, I really like the fact that this show has a female writer and a female director for quite a few other episodes, and the main characters, quite of them, are females. Like they're strong female leads.
I appreciate
But-
that.
But the thing
Hello.
is, the strongest female lead that they have, they're spending the least amount of time on, which is Maeve. Like she's like turning this whole place upside down, but they
Yeah.
all care about Dolores.
Yeah, and I think that feeds into, unfortunately, the cultural stereotype of the wilting flower, sweet girl.
Sure.
The girl that needs to be rescued.
Yeah, and even though she says she doesn't need to be rescued, she keeps finding herself in situations where she's not in charge. You know, she's always weepily looking around going, someone help me, someone tell me what's going on. And Maeve is like, screw this, I'm in charge. Which is hard for us to adapt to as a society. It's a good thing, but it's going to take some time.
I would almost be okay if those characters they had swapped the actors.
Really?
Because I'm intrigued by both of them, so I want to see what the other side is.
Yeah.
I just don't think it would be a real mind fuck if we find out that in the end Maeve is just Ford's puppet.
No, that I'm really intrigued by that, by the possibility of this whole thing happening because Ford wanted it to. Security finds Elsie's signal from the pad, and
Thor's.
Thor's brother went to investigate, but when he got to the location, he couldn't see anything. Do you guys think he's the host? Oh, like maybe maybe there's a body there or something that he couldn't see because they're not allowed to see their own.
Maybe.
Anything that's dangerous to them.
Yeah.
If Robert knows everything. I think that Robert does know about Maeve, Brent, and I think it supports the idea that, oh God, Mitchell. Hello, Mitchell. There's one in every crowd. Hi.
We're all welcome here.
Yeah,
It's all
everybody's
good.
welcome. No, I think that Brent, I think Ford knows about Maeve, and I think it supports the idea that he's using her to smuggle information out as sort of his own backup to sort of counter the backup that corporate is doing. No, I think it's a good point.
Which, you know what's funny about this whole backing up thing?
Sit down, Mitchell.
The interesting thing about the whole backing up thing is
You mean
Like
all the
people
all
like
the
Bill
guests,
Gates.
right?
people like Bill Gates, people like Elon Musk, all these smart people have been talking about this at least for the past year.
Right.
That if something like AI is built, it needs to be cut off from the rest of the world. So
That's inhumane, though. Like, if you're creating a parallel...
no. As far as a security thing, like you have to, like it needs to be built in a clean environment. It needs to be kept in a clean environment. It needs to have not access to the internet. So that makes sense. Like
It's
now that I'm
not
thinking
possible.
about it. Well,
Human error opens the door an inch, and AI is going to open it all the
Right.
way. It's going to blow the lid off. And I don't think that we're trusted as humans to appeal to our better angels and keep it under containment.
if you guys don't know, there's a famous YouTuber named CGP Grey. He has a podcast where in one of the episodes he talks about AI, and they mention the fact that yes, if we're gonna build consciousness into a computer at any level, yes, it needs to be built in a clean environment where it's cut off from the internet and everything else, because it does propose some sort of a risk. There's a risk involved, but he says as long as there's humans involved in that clean room, one human, just like this William character, is going to be enticed by the AI to just connect it to the internet, and it will take off.
That's what I'm saying.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm just reading that.
Just ignore it. He feeds into it. It's like if you give oxygen to a fire,
No,
it gets bigger.
no.
So just ignore it.
All right. So we've gone on for quite a bit. I feel like we've gone on for like 50 minutes, 54 minutes.
Wow.
Thanks for just kicking it with us, guys.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you. We appreciate everybody's feedback, and please keep us in the know if you have new theories, because we're all helping each
We'll
other.
be back here next week at the same time. So
Yeah, so subscribe. We'll try to go live right after the show next week. So that would be, we went live, I think, at 8:15, 8:20. We'll try to go live right after the show ends next week as well. So subscribe, and we'll be back on this channel next week. Thank you, everybody.
I have one more question. Do we want to take it right before we say goodbye?
Yeah. Do you guys think that all the hosts were created when the park was first opened, mechanical and turnable Rockway to more human-like? Yeah. Unless they haven't implied if Dolores has been upgraded, like as far as her build.
Well,
Because she's one of the
say
oldest
that they did say that they had the park operational for 2-3 years before they had guests come over. So within those 3 years, they had make sure everything
Well, no,
was working
like,
well.
John is talking about, because in that 3 years, they upgraded and they made it more natural. Like they showed the dancing thing, all those things. But they were also implying that after the park went live, when guests were killing hosts, it was just a pain to clean up and rebuild.
Okay.
So they restructured them.
Okay.
So I don't know if all the hosts have been upgraded to that new build, because they never mentioned if Dolores has at all been upgraded. Because they keep implying that she's pristine, she's old, she's she is who she is. Like they literally treat Dolores like this old lady that everyone.
It's kind of cute, right? Like she's in this young body, and they treat her like this.
Yeah, it
matron.
was weird to me too that she had mechanical parts, considering that we've seen how they're being built with this cool white clay or whatever. Who knows? We'll see next episode, I guess. We'll learn more. But this was fun, guys.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you
How
everybody
cool
for
are their
participating.
phones,
we appreciate that.
What? Their
I
phones?
want their phone, the tablet phone.
The
thing
small
that they
tablet.
have.
Oh, that
Yeah.
opens. I'm sure that there's so many people that have already jumped on
That's
that.
a little big, man. My Nexus 5X is like almost too big for me now.
But they don't have
We
computers.
have, now that we want to leave, there's more people talking to us. All right.
Let's see. Man of Black said the
Evan.
hosts used to be so beautiful, so you could open them up and see everything. Confirms he is one.
Thank you, Evan.
Oh,
Wait,
nice.
yes, that's nice. That doesn't confirm anything, but yes, that's nice.
All right, friends. I think it's time for us to hit
Yes.
the hay.
Thank you, everybody. Subscribe. We'll be back next week, and we'll talk to you guys then about the next
All right.
episode, which is
So
10.
one more. Bernanke.
It's gonna keep going. It's gonna keep going.
You're welcome, Michael.
Say good night. Good night.
Why is Dolores not on anyone in the marketing station radar? She seems to be traveling way off her circuit. She's traveling with hosts. So
By the
they
way, one more
overwrite
thing.
that.
She's trying to find that church or something. 'Cause she knows she went there the first time to meet the real Arnold. Did you guys notice? I mean, it's pretty obvious. Maybe I just noticed things like that that are very obvious. But when they're walking in the desert in some of the past episodes, you see the top of that church that Dolores is at. So
Yeah, William
So
and Harry
Ford-
actually passed by it once.
yeah, Ford covers that up. He covers that whole town up. So maybe they're gonna dig down in there to find some access point. Anyways,
Oh, maybe.
thank you. See you next week, same time.
Thanks, everybody. You guys stay on because I actually want to talk to Remy. But
All right.
thanks, everybody. Bye.
All right, bye. You're closing this, Nima?